So now we've made it to my website that I masterfully made and tried to make as hideous as possible using Google Sites. And we can scroll down. You're not actually done. This is puzzle A of like, I don't even know how many puzzles we want to call this. So the actual puzzle is down here. And we get TTFET and this big math equation. And so first we're just going to start with the initials. And so as a hint that can actually be extremely helpful to some people, the first hint I would give is that it's possibly more correctly initialized as lowercase f and t. That is the very first hint I would give. And so, but moving on from there, if you go, I have no clue what that's supposed to mean. This is not helping me whatsoever. So if you do need help with that, I have this tab in the menu for if we met at UMD, you get an automatic hint. And that hint is that I went to Richard Montgomery High School. And so if there are a lot of people that are going to have this background knowledge, but the way that I was hoping it would go down is that you would take the knowledge that I went to Richard Montgomery High School. The second hint I would give if asked for it would be that I was a band kid. Hopefully this would direct you to either the website or the instrumental music department website, which will show you then that my band director for all 4 years, in fact, was Dr. Peter Perry, Dr. Peter J. Perry, if you will. And so Dr. Peter Perry has a bio on a lot of his things. If you also Google him, one of the things that is going to come up is that he is a published author. And so then you think back to the directions I gave. One of those directions was that you will at some point in time need to ask me for a page from a book that I said, I couldn't give it because I wasn't sure if everyone had a copy. In fact, I think I'm the only person I know besides Dr. Perry who has a copy. And so that should lead you to the initials standing for Technology Tips for Ensemble Teachers by Dr. Peter J. Perry. I believe it was published by Oxford Press, which is going to be another hint. And so now you know the title of the book. The problem we have is figuring out what page you need, because I can't just give you the entire book. And so we gotta do math. And so hopefully everyone would be able to figure this out by themselves. But I'm gonna walk through it just in case my math was too confusing. Okay, we're going full your teacher during Zoom classes mode. So the first thing that I would do when approaching this problem is to rewrite it so that it's simpler in a way that actually makes sense. So thinking through PEMDAS, I'm going to keep 2 plus 1 to the 4th as its own thing. And that's going to just come here down as 2 plus 1 to the 4th. But then I'm going to turn this into a fraction because I find it easier to think about these things. That's going to be plus, I should have moved that in the middle, but that's okay. 6 factorial minus, maybe I'll even add some extra parentheses for myself to make it simpler, to really emphasize that I need to do the multiplication first, the M in PEMDAS before the A or the S, the addition and subtraction. 14 times 37. And I'm going to put all of that over 4 to the 1/2 power, but I really don't like fraction powers. So instead, we're going to just write it as the square root of 4 because that's easier for me to understand. So first thing we start with is, of course, everything in parentheses. So I have 2 plus 1. I know what 2 plus 1 is. That's 3 to the 4th. Plus, factorials are really covered in, the PEMDAS, and I haven't taken a higher level math class, so I just kind of treat them like exponents or like a, what's it called? or as though they're in a parentheses. So I'm just going to do 6 factorial now using my handy dandy calculator. I know that 6 factorial is 720. So I'm just going to write that here as 720 minus, then we do my next parentheses, which is 14 times 37, which is again not something I can do in my head, so I'm using the calculator, and I get 518 divided by, what's the square root of 4? We should know that it's 2. Okay, so now that I've done my parentheses, I'm going to move on to my exponents. I know that 3 to the 4th is not 27, it's 81. I'm going to double check my math because I like being precise. And I see that I'm correct, it is 81. So I come down here and I get 81 plus, we don't have any more exponents, so we're just going to copy the rest of it down. 720 minus 518 all over 2. Okay, so now, really, if we think about it, this is also in parentheses above the 2, because I need to add that together before I can really divide it all by 2. So I'm going to do that now. So I can copy down my 81 again, and I get 81 plus, what's 720 minus 518? That's 202. And so then I take my 202 over 2. Now I can finally get around to my division, and I do 202 divided by 2 is 101. So now I have 81 plus 101, and 81 plus 101 is going to be 182 as my final answer. So now I know that the page number I'm looking for, and that you would theoretically ask me for in technology tips for ensemble teachers, is page 182.